Okay, guys, welcome back to the Bench Talk podcast for Wildcat Wednesday. I do appreciate you guys tuning in. And I am joined by Jeremiah Manny, and he is the founder of the Moses Cartridges, or the inventor. Thanks for coming on, and I really do appreciate you being willing to chat about everything. It's super interesting, and we were talking before we actually started recording, and I was like, we got to stop. There's too many people that would find this wildly interesting. So Jeremiah is gracious enough to explain a lot of this stuff with the cartridges that he's invented, and I, again, really do appreciate your time.
Yeah, I appreciate you getting on the phone with me on this.
You mind, just like we were talking about a second ago, you mind explaining the 4 different lines of Moses cartridges that you have?
Yeah, so I've got the PRS line is based on the 223 case. I have an offering from 223 all the way up to a 7 mil. That was really designed for competitors for PRS, and it's in the name. But we found out that it actually works really good for varmint hunting to some lighter skinned big game animals. So there's that line, cheap brass, affordable, small powder charges with big performance.
Yeah, that's a line that I think a lot of the listeners were going to be wildly interested in, talking about the performance that you're actually getting out of that case.
Yes. And for me, with little kids and stuff like that, you don't want a big Magnum cartridge, when you can get away with something a little bit easier for them to handle, to slowly build them up to something a little bit bigger later in life, without sacrificing that performance for hunting purposes or competition purposes.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And for that one, you're going all the way from a .224 caliber all the way up to a 7 millimeter, correct?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. And what's the next line of cartridges that you have in the family?
The next line I have is going to be the 308 line. So the 308 line goes from, again, down from that 224 caliber all the way up to a 375 caliber. That one there is going to be an all-around performer from your varmint hunting all the way up to your really big thumping short-range weapon type hunting. The most popular one seems to be the 7 Moses right now. The 6.5 Moses is catching up pretty quick, though. But the 7 Moses with the high BC heavy bullets, that works really well. We're actually using that one in a few ELR competitions right now and doing very well with that.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. And I believe, did you say it was your wife or your buddy's wife who had recently taken an elk at, I think it was 800 or 900 yards with your 7 Moses?
I've had quite a few elk taken. So I've had my daughter's taken her elk at 1,187 yards, one shot with a 180 ELDM. My buddy's wife, 1,005 yards on her buck. I've had a whole bunch of animals taken, even first-time shooters where they've never really shot anything over 50 yards, sitting next to them and kind of just letting them use my gun and getting their elk at 668. A lot of memories with this stuff that you can't pass up.
Yeah, no. I mean, hearing about your guys' success with this cartridge line is awesome. I love seeing it. And for anyone who's interested, you can actually go on Facebook and go to the Moses Cartridge page. I think right now there's around 110 members. Join it, and Jeremiah and all the other Moses Cartridge shooters post all kinds of stuff on there, and you get to see their success with hunting. And it's very cool to see. I've been on there and basically trying to collect as much information as I can on the Moses cartridges prior to actually getting a chance to speak to Jeremiah himself. What just ballpark for the listeners for the 264 or 6.5 Moses and the 7 millimeter Moses, kind of ballpark, what are your guys' velocity ranges that you're seeing?
So for the standard 6.5 Moses, a lot of us are running the 140s, but we've gone up to the 150s. The 140s, right around 3,050 to 3,100 seems to be a good ballpark for about a 24 to 26 inch barrel, depending on where you're at on that. The 150s, we're running around 3K out of the same barrels, length of barrels.
And those are running 26 inch?
24 to 26. I have a buddy of mine that's got a Howa 24 inch. We hit just a hair over. I think we were 3147 with a 140. But the actual node seems to be right around 3040 to 3050. So that's what we're running at for his 6.5 Moses for hunting purposes. With great SDs. All of our SDs when we get done are all single digit SDs, and either single digit ESs or just a hair over into the teens on the ESs on all these.
That is so cool. And in ballpark for the 7mm Moses, and I apologize for jumping in. I just wanted to, I know people would be asking what the barrel length was. I just wanted to make sure I mentioned that or asked.
Yeah, so we have a couple different barrels out right now where people are running them. The average for the 7 Moses is 26 to 28 inch barrel, and most of those are going to be right around the 2850 to 2910 feet a second with a 180. We have a couple of 20 inch barrels out there where they're running right at 2800 seems to be a good node for them, but they've been to 2840 comfortably, just trying to go back down to the nodes. That the speed's always going to be there, but the accuracy, in my opinion, trumps the speed hands down. And then we've got a 23-inch barrel out there where the guy's running a little bit lighter bullet. He's running a 166 grain A-tip at 3K from a 23-inch barrel with phenomenal groups. So, yeah, so that seems to be the average.
I was going to say, do you guys have out, I guess, and anyone shooting a 6mm Moses? I'm just selfishly interested due to the fact that, right, I shoot a 243 Ackley a lot.
That one is actually being spun up here shortly. That one is going to be pretty wild. We've been kind of contemplating on barrel twist with the velocities and bullet construction like that. What we found that there's a limit to the bullet. The cartridge is exceeding the limits of nearly every bullet we're kind of playing within it. So the revolution, so you're getting too much force outwards and the bullets are coming apart. So we've been kind of playing with that one a little bit to trying to find the best barrel twist for that bullet. But we're expected to see a 110 grain bullet at about 3,800 is where we're expecting to see it.
3,800 feet per second?
Yes, sir.
That would be incredible. Yeah, I can't wait to hear about that one. That would be amazing. I mean, that's surpassing by a lot, like the 6 PRC.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. And again, that would still be basically off the 243 Winchester case or the 308 parent case, right?
Yeah, 308 would be the parent case for your 308 line. Some of the other cases will work as well, but the 308 that's what everything gets hydroformed from is the 308. Unless you create a false shoulder, then you can work it the other way. But the hydroformer is designed for a 308. It's NATO brass. It's pretty much everywhere. So that's where the Moses kind of comes into play. I've utilized NATO brass. That was the whole goal, to keep it cheap and available for everybody.
Yeah, no. So, I mean, that's awesome. So I guess if you wouldn't mind touching on that then, at least for the PRS line, which is made off of, right, I guess either 5.56 or 223 Remington case, and the Moses line right off of the 308 case or NATO case, what brass, I guess, are you guys doing the majority of your testing with for both those lines?
So the majority of the brass for the PRS, it's going to be Starline or Lake City brass. I've got oodles of Lake City brass. I mean, you can go to pretty much any range and find Lake City brass anywhere. Your buddies probably have it sitting in buckets in their garage, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Testing on the Lake City brass. With the Lake City brass, you get some pretty good firings on it, depending on how beat up it is, if it's once fired or who knows how hard it was pushed. You're usually seeing about 10 to 14 firings off of that Lake City brass. Now the Starline brass in that same line, we've pressure tested it, or not pressure tested it, but we torture tested it with 51 firings from the 6 PRS Moses, and it was still going. And that was annealed twice and trimmed once.
That's incredible. And that was like a normal load through the PRS or 6 PRS Moses.
Yes, sir. We were averaging right around 2830 to 2840 with I think we were running a 108 on that one, just out of a 24-inch barrel.
That is awesome. It seems like, I'm not sure if there's been a big change with Starline brass recently, but I've shot it back in the day, some of their 243 Winchester brass. I used their 223 brass and 5.56 brass in my 223 Ackley. And I just found out they're now making brass for the 6mm Max. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that case at all, but seems like everyone's having really, really good luck. I was just talking to the guy who basically the inventor of the 6mm Max, and he was, for them and their AR platform, they were getting really high pressures or allowed to push them at very high pressures because the Starline brass was holding up so well. So it's cool, I guess, for I'm not sure what they've changed, but it seems like things are going well.
Yeah, because Starline, it was just mediocre brass back in the day, and they've gotten really good. So that's one of our backup brasses that we use going into the 308 line. Our primary that we prefer is going to be Peterson brass, and then the backup is Starline brass. Seems to work really, really good. With the exception of the AR line. So I have a 308 Moses AR, and it really likes the old school military brass, Lake City or IVI.
And I know you just vaguely mentioned a second ago when you were talking about the 51 firings you got off the Starline brass for the PRS line. You mind talking about some of the velocities you're getting out of the 223 PRS Moses and the 6 PRS Moses?
Yeah, absolutely. So the 223 PRS Moses, I personally run the Lake City brass, and I've seen the 88 EODMs. I've hit 3,200 feet a second with those, but I started running into problems with the 88 grainer. Anytime I started going a little over 3,100, I started having random bullets exploding on me with running a 7-twist barrel. So I just backed it down. I like to run it, just keep it around 3,070 to 3,100, and it seems to do just fine there. The 6 PRS Moses, my two guns that I personally have, I've run 24-inch barrels with Lake City brass, and I run a 112 grain match burner. I run it a little bit lower just because my little guy likes to shoot it too, so I run it at 2809. But I've had the 112 match burners just shy of 2,900 feet a second. I recently tested some of those, the arrow match bullets that Hornady came out with, the 105 grains. And I had those out of that 24-inch barrel. I hit 2,955 feet a second.
Wow. No, that's really good. I mean, that's awesome. I mean, out of my 6 GT right now, I think I'm pushing 36 grains of H4350, and I'm pushing 112s out of a 26-inch 1-8 twist at 2820.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, see, we're running a 7.7, I think it's 7.5 twist Excalibur barrels, what we're running on ours at 24-inch. And I run 6.5s to ball in mine. But I'm starting to go to a little bit faster powders in it. But with mine, with the 6.5s to bowl, I'm running 31.5. I think it's 30 grains of powder to get that 2809 for the 6s. Now the 223s is a little bit different. I run the 6.5s to bowl in it at 31.5 and achieving about 3,075, 3,080.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. And what's the barrel length for the 223 PRS Moses that you're shooting?
That one there, I'm running a 26-inch barrel, and it's just a factory Savage Elite Precision. That was a 223 that I just punched out. So it's doing really good on a factory barrel.
No, that's incredible. Do you have any guys that are running either the 223 PRS Moses or the 6 PRS Moses kind of as varmint guns, where they're running lighter for caliber bullets versus the heavier for caliber?
I don't have anybody just yet because we still run the heavy bullets for varminting. So I know my buddy Rob from Bald Guys with Guns. He really loves his 6 PRS Moses. He's running the 108 or 109 burgers. I'm not exactly sure which one he's running, but yeah, he's running those at 2880 or so from his gun. And I know he's went out and did a little bit of rabbit hunting down in Arizona, was blowing up rabbits pretty good at 100 yards with it. So it was kind of wild to see. We do use our 223s for rock chuck hunting up here in Idaho.
Okay.
And we've done real well. We've hit rock chucks out at 1,000 yards with them. So
that's incredible. With the 223 PRS Moses you're running now, are you still running Stayball 6.5 for your load? Okay.
Yep. On the 6 PRS Moses, I started moving down to Varget, Match the Ball, and even H4895. I'm starting to see that those are very good in that cartridge where it's way less powder for the same velocities.
How much powder are you using if you're running Varget, if you don't mind me asking? Just ballpark. It doesn't have to be an actual load.
It's right around 29 grains, just a hair over 29 grains, and maybe.
And when you're looking at your brass, like any, I guess, bolt resistance, flat primers, ejector swipes, or you guys basically completely out of that realm running at these velocities?
Yeah, we're out of it. It's one finger. You can lift the bolt with your pinky and flip it. It pops right out. So, when you can get 50 firings out of it, you're pretty much out of pressure, in my opinion. If you're anywhere in the pressure areas, you're gonna, primer pocket's gonna go pretty quick.
Right. Yeah, which is exactly what I was thinking. Just I guarantee a lot of guys are thinking this can't be possible, like we talked about earlier prior to us getting or actually starting the podcast. But yeah, no, it's I love hearing about this. This is such a cool thing to hear about. And I'm hoping the listeners are probably pretty hooked right now hearing about the actual benefits of the Moses line and everything you're getting out of it with the extra case capacity. You mind, I guess, wherever you're comfortable talking about it, I guess, the difference of the case geometry and kind of how you form cases through the hydroforming process?
Yeah, absolutely. So the case geometry it's kind of close to an Ackley, but not quite an Ackley. Same concept. I still use a 40-degree shoulder, so I do use Ackley's 40-degree shoulder. I feel that's the best angled shoulder out there right now. I've played with some 50 degrees and some shorter, 38s and things like that. But the 40-degree shoulder seems to be the best. It reduces that case trim.
Yeah.
Gives it a little bit more efficiency. And then, blowing out the body out a little bit more to get that case capacity is beneficial because it gives you more. That case capacity, that's what it's about right there, is the case capacity. And then the one thing that a lot of people don't realize is I've got a unique throat on top of the case. So if they could get past the short neck, the neck tension's there. We're not having any bullets for run out or anything like that. I've tested that quite a bit. I know that's been a lot of concern with the short neck. When you run it on feed ramp, you think, oh, it's gonna bend the bullet out of place. It's not doing that at all. I have a theory behind that that I think is sound of why it's not doing that. But it definitely gives you plenty of neck tension where you can't pull a bullet by hand or anything like that.
And for neck tension, I guess for the listeners, just for neck tension, are you guys running normally 2,000ths of neck tension?
I'm running about 2.5 to 3 thou neck tension is where I like to keep the neck tension. It gives a good release, yet still holding the bullet in place. So, but yeah, once you get past the neck, I mean, it does look a little goofy, but it does serve a purpose. The longer things are, you're going to have deformities in the brass where some's going to be a little thicker, some's going to be a little thinner. Yeah, you could neck turn. I've done all that. I'm going to be honest that I hated neck turning. It's a tedious process for minimal gain, in my opinion. So if I can get away from it where there's less resistance and fluctuations on the resistance, I'll go for that. And that's what my short neck does. It just lowers the SDs and releases much easier.
Yeah, no, and that's awesome to actually hear about, because I was curious about the short neck as well, and I refuse to neck turn, refuse to do it.
Yeah. So I used to do the outside neck turning, and it's kind of a pain. The one thing that a lot of people have brought up on this case is the donuts. A lot of people see donuts on a lot of the cases that they improve. We have not seen any donuts on the inside of the brass whatsoever in the neck. There's 0 donuts. That's a big thing for a lot of people, is to get that donut, because then you got to go in there and try to clean that donut out. We're not getting any donuts on anything.
That's awesome, and bringing up bringing up a cartridge that you can get donuts on pretty easily. The 284 case, either necking it up or down. I remember for when I was shooting 284 Winchester, I was necking up Lapua 6.5 by 284 brass, and I always got a donut. Hated dealing with it. Do you guys have any Moses cartridges that are off the 284 Winchester case?
I do not. I try to stick, again, like I said a little bit earlier, I try to stick with NATO-based brass.
Okay.
Just due to the availability worldwide. I mean, it's NATO, meaning you can find it pretty much anywhere you go. Just with a little bit of modification. The hydroformer is the easiest, but there are other ways you can create the false shoulder and shoot it that way. That works. I'd rather do the hydroform where I can just go out and enjoy it almost right away.
No, and that's awesome, and that makes sense. I forgot about the whole NATO thing. And so no donuts when you guys are forming cases, which is great. How do they go about buying dies and also a hydroforming die?
So the dies, everything can go. You can hit me up on my email, mosescartridges@gmail.com. I would recommend ordering the dies and hydroformer right when you figure out that you want a Moses and waiting for a barrel to come in or get it chambered up, ordering it up, the dies immediately, because their dies are taking a little while to get. I'm trying to work it out to where I can get a few more dies ahead of schedule and have them on hand for guys. But unfortunately, this is just in the new beginnings, and until I start to get enough to have that stock on hand, it's kind of a waiting game a little bit.
Yeah, no, that's good to know. And hopefully, so you'll get a sizing die, or people can hopefully in the future get sizing dies from you along with the hydroforming die.
Yep, they can get those now. Like I said, just hit me up on the email, and we can get the order placed for the hydroformer and a full die set.
Okay.
I recommend the full die set, just due to the fact that then it comes with the correct seating stem for the bullets that they are wanting to run.
And if guys are looking to get a rifle chambered up in a Moses cartridge, how do they go about doing that?
Yep, so they'll contact Precision Rifle Works out of Saratoga Springs. My buddy there, Bronson, great gunsmith. He will get you hooked up quickly. Get your gun to him. He'll get it chambered up. We do 3 to 5 test firings out of the gun to make sure everything is good to go, and that brass and the target will go with the gun back to the customer.
And I guess for turnaround time, normally through them, I guess if someone's either sent in a rifle that was going to get rechambered in a Moses caliber, or if they were going to get a barrel spun up, what's their normal turnaround time?
If it's already a complete rifle and they're going to reutilize the barrel, you're talking maybe a week, 2 weeks turnaround time back to you. If it's a new barrel getting ordered, now you're at the mercy of the barrel manufacturers. If they have barrels on hand, or if depending on the barrel the customer wants, you're going to wait on that lead time from the manufacturer. Now, if they send in a gun with a barrel, that's a different story. Then again, it'll go down to that week and a half, a week to 2 week turnaround time.
For I guess anyone who is not familiar with kind of turnaround times for shops, it does vary. I mean, some shops turnaround time might be 6 months. So you guys getting turnaround time in a couple weeks is amazing.
Yes. Yep. So, because we want people out, it's your money, it's your gun. I don't want to stop anybody from shooting. The longest process is going to come down to the dies and the hydroformer, and I've got plans and work to try to get that on hand to cut that time down substantially. It just takes a little bit of time to get that going.
If you were going to describe recoil coming from the Moses cartridges, whether it's the PRS line or the Moses line off the 308 NATO case, what's your opinion of the recoil? And I mean, granted, I also know that depends, based off rifle and weight and stuff like that. But I guess if you were going to describe it, is it snappy? Is it more of a push?
I'm going to say it's more of a light push on anything. For instance, I had a buddy up here. We just did a 7 PRC load for his PRC with a 180 ELDM. And so we went down to shoot it, kind of get him on some targets, make sure it was good for him. So he's shooting his 180 out of his 7 PRC barrel breaking at about 2880. And so I was like, all right, cool. He's doing real good with it. And I had him shoot my 7 Moses with the 180 at 2900. And he said it felt like a 22. It was that substantial of recoil reduction from a 7 PRC to that, but more velocity, which was insane.
No, that's incredible. And the other Moses lines that you have, I guess you want to touch on the other two?
Actually, I've got a few more. I think I have 6 in total. I think that's what it is. We've talked about the 223 line, so my PRS line, the 308 line. I have an odd 6 line, and I've got a 762 line, or well, not 762, my 300 or 338 Norma line. Either piece of brass can be utilized. I've got my Lapua line, and then I've got an XC line for my Ultra. So I've got a few more lines out there. I've tested a few in those upper lines, but I've been kind of focusing on your 308 line and your 223 line. I think there's going to be great for a majority of the people out here. But now the 30-06 line, that's going to be really good for some big game hunters, some like heavy hitting stuff. So that one there, like I have my 308-06 Moses. I know it's kind of sounds funny. But I wanted to use the same numbers and names from the 308 line into the odd 6. I just did an odd 6 to the back of all of the 308 lines into the odd 6. So it'll be a 7mm odd 6. It'll be a 308 odd 6, so on and so forth.
No, I think it sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah. So the 308 odd 6, it was kind of got a funky name. But I love that gun. I'm running some Barnes brass with some 208s and running those at 2984 feet a second with an SD of 3. That thing's rock solid. I've got a lot higher than that, but there's no need. I kind of want a little bit of barrel life still. So
For the odd 6 line, are you guys going all the way from a 22 caliber all the way up to a 375 like the 308 line?
I sure am. I am offering it. I don't know. This is just my personal opinion on it. I just think anything down into like say the 6.5 all the way down to the 223 line in the odd 6 case is a little crazy. But if somebody wants it, it's available. I don't know how well the barrel life would be on that kind of caliber. That's a lot of velocity. And if I'm having problems with the 223 line with bullets staying together, I could only imagine you would have to run solids for sure when you start to get down into those lines on the odd 6 case.
Now, have you guys messed around at all with 708 odd 6 Moses?
The 7-06 is in the works. That one there, I'm just waiting on some tooling. I've had a lot of requests for that one.
That'd be a huge competitor against the 280 Ackley Improved.
Actually, I think it's going to be up in there competing with the 28 Nosler. I think is where it's going to clip the heels of that pretty heavily, in my opinion. With what I'm seeing, the case capacity that I'm running in my 30-06, I know with my 308-06 Moses, I've ran all the way up to mid 70s on powder charge. So it's substantial for an odd 6 case.
Any listeners who have a long action standard bolt face, that line of Moses cases that's the odd 6 is going to be a great option for you. I literally just had a couple people hit me up on Instagram within the past week asking, hey, I have a long action standard bolt face. What would you recommend? And at the time I was telling them, hey, either 6.5 284 or 284 Winchester. But this is also a fantastic option, and I definitely look forward to hearing more about the 708 odd 6 Moses when you guys actually kind of finalize numbers you're willing to put out.
Yeah, that one there, I'm excited for it, especially like the 195 grain bullets and the 197s that are out there from Sierra. I think those are going to be some fantastic bullets for the case capacity that we're seeing out of this case. That the 7-06 is going to be. It's going to be pretty nasty, flat shooting and fast, and I know the bullets will hold up on that. So, yeah, So
No,
and then
that'll be great.
the next one up is going to be my Norma case. So the 338 or the 300 Norma. I personally have my 762 by 62. I utilized the 338 Norma brass. I had a whole bunch of it here, so I hydroformed that up and started sending that. Taking a few elk with that this year from some people that wanted to borrow the gun. That was the 960-yard shot, one shot, just dropped her, just a cow elk. But we're running. Oh, I'm running the 250 grain ATEP bullets out of that. I have it pretty reduced on the load. I'm only running 3014, but there's been some problems with the ATEP bullets and that 30 cal with that 250 of coming apart pretty early. Again, it comes down to that revolution, the force being generated going outward on the spin. So from some stuff that I've noticed, 280,000 RPMs on any of the A-tips and EODMs. If you start to get anything close to that or over, is when you start to see some bullet failure. And with my 762 by 62 Moses, I'm running an 8 twist. So when you start to get that velocity up there with that kind of twist rate, you start to jump in bullet RPM quite fast. I have pushed them up, to almost 3,300 feet a second with the 250s, but I'm not going to say that's a load I would ever want to run. It goes 50 feet out the barrel, then you just see a gray dust cloud of the bullet just coming apart. Not really my ideal bullet for that. So again, solids if you want to run it fast.
Yeah, no, but that's awesome, and I know there's a handful of guys who are getting into the 300 Norma Improved right now and are using that for long distance elk hunting and mule deer hunting in the western states. So, I mean, hearing an option that is, I guess, even further improved on the Norma case is awesome to hear about. You guys mess around with the 230 A-tips at all?
Not the A-tips. We've got I've got a buddy of mine that's running the 230 grain burgers. And he's running them. I think he's running about 3250 with those, and grouping about 1/4 of an inch, and he absolutely loves it. So he's getting really good on velocities on that. And that was with, I think he's running LRT is the powder that he likes out of his gun. N570 was giving us a lot of good velocities, but N570 is really hard on your barrel with all the chemical compound of the powder. It tends to burn barrels out pretty quick. So we just kind of avoid the N570, even though it gives us the best performance. We kind of avoid it. Just, you put the time and money into a gun, you don't want to keep replacing barrels.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, I get to an extent, right? People say you can replace barrels like they're like tires on a car, but you don't want to be doing it literally every 6 months or every year.
Exactly. So, I mean, it's possible. I mean, I know some guys that don't mind doing that. And if you have to ship it across country to get it, it's kind of a pain to do a little bit. Here local, where my buddy's local, where if I need a barrel spun up real quick, I can get it done real quick. But if you have to wait a little bit if you order a barrel up and it takes a while, I don't like to do that personally. So
yeah, no, neither do I. One thing I guess prior to, if you don't mind, prior to us going forward into the other Moses line off that 33XC case, what is overall cartridge length you're normally looking at for the PRS line? I guess specifically the 22 and 6mm variant, and if we're talking about the 7 Moses. Are you guys running a cartridge length at AIC length? I guess at least for the 7 Moses at like 2.950, and then something like 2.550 for the 22 caliber and the 6mm variant for the PRS Moses.
Okay, yeah. So for the 308 line, that's the easiest one. We use the AICS mags without the binder plate. So we are running the 2955 case overall length. That seems to be really good. The 6.5 Moses, it likes it a little bit shorter at the 2.945. But you can't. That's with the 140. So you're limited by the mag length on that one there. But you're not losing any performance by any means. Now the 223 line and the 6 PRS line, or those two cartridges are a little bit different. I actually modify magazines. I have my own followers that I have made up and modify the magazine so I can actually run to a coal of 2.815 on an AICS magazine. So we can load them out much longer than your standard 223 mags. So for the 6 PRS Moses with my 112 match burners, I'm running at a 1 point, or no, excuse me, back that up here. I'm running at, let me see if I can find my overall. I think it's a 2.7. See if I got my notes here. I'm trying to look at my data. I go base everything on ogive, so so I'm like looking at it. I'm like, that's not looking right.
No, if it's something you can't find right now, I can. If you just text it to me, I can put it in the notes for the podcast.
Okay, yeah. That one. Let's do that on the 6. I can give you the 223 PRS Moses. I'm actually loading that one at 2.704 is what I like to run that one at.
Okay, so basically 2.7 overall cartridge length. That's awesome.
Yep. So that one there seems to be really good. I know the 6 PRS Moses is, I think that's a tad bit longer. Again, I'll send that to you and then go from there. But it's nice with the PRS line having that mag where I can load out to the 2.815. Definitely opens up the doors substantially on being able to load longer bullets further out and give you the benefit of the case.
Yeah, no. I mean, definitely. That was a huge thing that when I heard about this case, I had looked into basically the 6 223 Ackley improved or the 6x45 improved, whatever you want to call it. And that was a big thing. Guys were trying to use it for shooting 105s. And everyone was like, based off, normal AIC mags, right? You're kind of limited to like 2.500 in that range for a normal 223 mag, like the MDT ones or the AIC steel mags. And so guys are modifying them by cutting them open, getting their own followers and stuff. So I was curious what you guys were doing to maximize the case capacity inside of it.
Yep. So yeah, all of mine, I have my followers. I get all sorts of different colors, so depending on what people want. And then I clean out the magazine really nice and then ensure that all the followers are sliding smoothly and don't buckle or bend or turn or any of that crazy stuff, because no one wants a malfunction when you're on the clock or out hunting. So I ensure that they're running smooth before they go out. But having that length inside your magazine helps a lot.
And I guess talking further, I know we a minute ago were kind of BSing about barrels. One thing I wanted to ask about, and I know you said earlier your your throat geometry is a little different, along with the case geometry. What are you guys seeing for barrel life when you're looking at just those 3 calibers, the 223 PRS, the 6 PRS, and the 7 Moses?
So with the 223 PRS Moses, we've yet to have anybody have a barrel burnout on it yet. I think we probably have some guys closer to the 2,000 range right now for shots down the barrel. I'm guessing you're going to see probably around 3,500 on the 223 line because the velocity is up a little bit higher. Now the 6 PRS Moses with the velocity down, I'm willing to bet we're probably going to see around 35 to 4,000 rounds out of a barrel on that 6 PRS.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So a lot of it has to do with the geometry of the throat that I have put in there. It's a little bit. It's definitely different. I don't want to go into the details on the specs of that, but it is substantially different than a standard throat, which is kind of why we're seeing some velocity increases and less pressure and things like that. It's a huge benefit to the cartridge as well as the geometry of the case.
Prior to me doing my own research on the Moses cartridge, I actually had no idea that you had modified the throat until you mentioned it a minute ago. And it's awesome to hear that someone who is looking at a cartridge to design, right, is looking to improve every aspect of it. You didn't just look at one, right? Ackley didn't really mess with the throat at all. And then I can't remember who it is. Unknown Munitions uses them for their like plus P throating. I can't remember the name of the company, but basically they took the two, all the Ackley cases and they added a throat to it. You improved past that along with improving the throat. I think it's awesome. It seems like this was very, very well thought out. And as a shooter and someone who's probably going to try to get one of these soon, it's cool to see that you guys have basically looked at every single avenue. When you're looking at this, easy brass, very common powders that you can get, and maximized case capacity and case dimensions, along with a modified throat to get the best velocity and less pressure. It's awesome. I think it's a great design. Would you mind chatting about what you're running for overall cartridge length for the Norma cases? And then if you wouldn't mind jumping into the XC, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, so on the 250 grain A-tip on that 7.62 by 6.2, I'm running at 3.880 case overall length. That seems to be where it likes it. Obviously, it's going to be different depending on the bullet, but I wanted the biggest, heaviest bullet I could find to run out of that case, so that's kind of what I went with, was that 250. But my particular rifle that I have is a Savage 112 Magnum target. It used to be a Lapua. Pull the barrel off and drop the 30 cal on. So it's a single feed. Don't have to worry about any kind of magazine or anything like that.
Yeah.
So that was kind of designed for. You can use it for hunting by all means, but that was really designed for a long range target gun. But with the right bullet and the right, you can run in magazines. I got a buddy that runs magazines on his, but I prefer a single shot when I get into the bigger calibers. So everything above the 7.62 for my own personal guns, it's going to be a single shot. I don't mind just running one round and having rounds sitting there right next to me in a brick or something like that,
Yeah, no, definitely especially for target shooting. And you have also done a super sender off the 33XC case, correct?
I have, and I'll go to that one. I don't want to skip over my other line. I've got a line between the 7.62 by 6.2, or the 6.2, the by 6.2 line, so the normal line. Mm-hmm. I've got one in between that before we go up to the ultra line. So I've got my line off the Lapua. So I've got a few guns out there. The 33 Moses is the one I started on. That one there is pretty wild. I have a good buddy of mine, Casey. He went out and he hit 35-60 on a second round impact on a 36-inch plate with a 300 grain OTM at 32. He was right around 3,200 feet a second with that 300 grainer, which was pretty wild to see because they have it on video and everything where you hit that target. So that's
incredible.
Cool.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So I actually have his gun here, doing a little bit more load work up on it for him, and got a really comfortable load at 3230 with a 300 grain burger.
What powder are you guys using in that Lapua case?
On that case there, we are running N570 on that one. That one does give us the best performance. In my own personal one, I run 50 BMG.
Okay.
So I've got a couple different powders we can play with in there. But N570 for the 33 Moses is giving us the best velocity for the bigger bullets. And keeping in mind that it is a little harsher on the barrels. We're aware of that and just monitoring that to see if we're seeing any reduction on the bigger calibers with that. So.
Yeah, no, that's good to know, and that's awesome. I don't think earlier when we were chatting, I knew you had one off the Lapua case, so that's awesome. I'm sure at some point you're going to get someone to hit you up to build a hunting rifle with that.
Yeah. So up here where I'm at in Idaho, we still have to keep our guns below 16 pounds to hunt with.
I did not know that was a law.
Yeah, we have that as a law up here in Idaho. So 16 pounds or less in order to hunt. So a lot of the guns that I go out with, they got to meet that weight requirement in order to hunt them. So like my 33 Moses will never be hunted up here. Some of the surrounding states, I could probably go hunt with it. That's not an issue in some of the other states, but here in Idaho where I'm at, it's 16 pounds or less. So I tend to just stick to my 7 Moses. It seems to get everything done that I need to. Or if I want to kind of play with the 308.6 or even the 7.62, that one. My 7.62 as a magnum target, it does meet weight. There's nothing else to it, just a basic wood stock, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. And
Yeah. And so on that, like the 33, so the Lapua line, that one there, I've got a couple other calibers in that line as well that we haven't really tested. No one's really requested them, so they're kind of just, they're there, and we'll start testing them until people start to really kind of ask the question, and then we'll rush the testing and get that done. So, but the now going into the Ultra line, that one's wild. That is definitely not going to be a cheap one to shoot by any means.
Oh, I bet that'd be incredibly expensive. I had some guys out here who shoot 375 Chi-Tacs, and yeah, they're all into it. And so when I heard this and you were like, oh, it's the Chi-Tac killer, I was like, oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to hear something about this, because this sounds too cool.
Yep. So the first time we got to shoot the gun, a buddy of mine built it, and he met us out at the Night Force ELR Steel Challenge out in Wyoming, just to test a few rounds. And so, and this is at the time we didn't really have guys, so we kind of had to rig our own setup to try to get it to load some rounds. But we loaded up a couple of rounds, and we were running the 402 grain MTACs from Cutting Edge, and we kind of just dumped in random powder charges. So we were running US 869, not the best powder in the world, but just for initial testing, we needed something. So we dumped in that, dumped on 145 grains of US 869 behind that 402, and we were pumping out bullets at 3188 feet a second, and we're still way below case capacity. So that one's going to be quite interesting. So, because I think the Chi-Tac with a 402, I don't think most guys in the Chi-Tac are running around 29 to 3,000, if I remember correct. I could be wrong though. Yeah. So he's working on some loads right now. We're eventually going to go. There's a couple bullets that we're gonna test in it that have a lot higher BC, that are solids that I think are going to perform quite well in that gun. And he's getting ready. He's trying to get it ready to where he can start doing some of the 2 mile competitions and trying to get down to Raton to let that thing shine. So what's really crazy is with the other bullet, if the BCs are validated to be as true what they're stating, he'll have 100-yard zero and be able to dial in his optic all the way out to 4,000 yards. So, and the bullet will be supersonic to, I think it's like 41 and some change. So he's well beyond the transonic zone at 2 miles, which is only the 35-20. So that's a huge advantage where you don't need a prism or any of that kind of stuff to get out to range, where you could just dial it in your scope is awesome.
Yeah, no, that'll be incredible. Definitely next time, if whenever they stream the long range challenges or show them on YouTube and stuff, I'll definitely keep an eye out if anyone's mentioning they have a Moses cartridge.
Yeah, that's the one big thing that I've noticed for any of the 2 miles competitions. A majority of them are running, the Night Force Prism or the Charlie Tac. Everybody's running something along that lines, or the March Genesis scope, something along that, to where they can get the elevation they need for those kind of shots. With this, now we know that the velocity he's going to try to get to with the bullet, it's a barrel, probably maybe 2 a season. But if he doesn't have to buy the prisms, and it can dial it from 0 and at 100 and then dial it all the way out past 2 miles, that's kind of a win in my book. So then he'll just be able to run his Night Force attacker and dial it and be done with it,
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Yeah. So, but those are the basic lines that I have going right now. I've thought about going into some of the other cases, but as of for right now, I kind of want to just try to stay in some of the
the more widely available NATO brass type cases. I've had a lot of requests for the 300 Win Mag and 7 Mag and things like that. I'm just personally not a big fan of the belted cartridges. Never have been. Not saying it's not going to happen. It's just as of right now, I want to focus on the ones that I already have and get all the testing done on throughout the lines before I start to venture off into other stuff. So I'm trying to get as many as I can done, tested up. But time is money and money is time, so it kind of goes hand in hand. So.
Yeah, no, it is. And again, I really do appreciate you taking the call and telling us all about the Moses cartridges. I just got one more question for you, and then I'll turn it over to you if you have anything else you want to pass on to the listeners. For running those three that we've primarily been talking to, the 223, the 6 PRS, and the 7 Moses, what are you guys seeing when you're running them suppressed, just out of normal bolt guns? Are you guys seeing that the 223 and the 6 are actually like pretty good suppressed? Like, I know for reference for me shooting my 223 Ackley out of a 30 cal suppressor, but it doesn't seem like there's enough pressure to actually sound good coming out of a suppressor.
Yeah, so actually I've run suppress on all of them. My daughter, she runs a Nomad L with a 6.5 end cap. That's what we run on her 223, and you really can't hear anything. The thing is so quiet, unbelievably quiet. So not
That's
one
awesome.
issue with that. My buddy Rob, he runs on his 6 PRS Moses. He runs the Whisper Pickle 30 from Northreach Manufacturing up here in Idaho, and you can't hear that thing either. And he's getting really good accuracy out of that as well. He's cleared that. You've seen the Eric Cortina, the Blackjack Challenge.
Yes.
So he's set that up, and he's cleared it and kept hitting that 2-inch target quite often. Missed it a few times, but it's a small target at 500 yards. But he's got a few videos out. If you guys look at his YouTube channel, you'll be able to hear what the gun sounds like.
Bald Guys with Guns, guys. If you guys want to see a video of this 7 Moses in action, go check it out.
Yep. So he's got that. And then I personally run a suppressor on my 7 Moses. I'm running a carnivore can on mine, and that one there, it's a little bit louder. It's just the can. I think every can has its limitation on it. But I absolutely love that can. You get out in an open field, it's even quieter. If I'm shooting up next to my house or shop or something, some kind of object, the sound will bounce off a little bit. But when you get out in the open field, it's extremely quiet, and haven't really seen any issues with it at all. I do know that when you run cans, the chamber does get a little bit dirtier quicker, just because of the back pressure. So I know the folks that are running cans for the Moses line, I just tell them to try to clean their gun a little bit more often than normal, just to keep the optimal performance.
I'll turn it over to you. Is there any other stuff that off the top of your head you think that the listeners should know about the Moses cartridges?
Well, the big one for it is don't be afraid to try it. A lot of people are scared of that short neck and then concerned about the pressure. I tell you, I've had a lot of people shoot them that didn't believe in it or had lots of questions about it. And then as soon as they pulled the trigger on one and ejected it themselves, that fear was completely gone. All the skepticism was gone. They were sold and wanting one immediately. So if you're wanting one, definitely jump on it. If you find someone that has one at a range, or if you have a buddy that's close by that has one, definitely jump on and go shoot it. I think once you shoot it, you're going to realize that it's legit. That's probably the biggest thing I have when it comes to it is the skepticism behind the cartridge.
Awesome. Well, I hope that the skepticism has been relieved a little bit for anyone who's listening in, and I hope you get some guys contacting you out of this who want to go run a Moses cartridge, because man, they sound pretty badass, and I definitely am going to, hopefully the next couple barrels I get, I'll probably try to dedicate to a 223 and a
6 PRS Moses. I think that sounds way too cool not to try. Yeah, again, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah,
is
absolutely.
what's the best way for people to find you?
So the Facebook page, Moses Cartridges on Facebook, is a good way. I've got Moses Cartridges, YouTube, and then Bald Guys with Guns. They're assisting with both of those. They got their YouTube channel, and then they're assisting on my Moses channel as well. And then direct contact is mosescartridges@gmail.com.
Okay, awesome.
Yep.
Thank
So,
you
and then
so
if
much,
they're wanting to,
Jeremiah.
if they're wanting to build one, Precision Rifle Works at Saratoga Springs, reach out to them. They've got their Facebook page as well. Bronson Fellows, he definitely knows a lot about the Moses cartridges, and he can answer a lot of the questions as well and get you guys going.
Awesome. Well, I again thank you so much for coming on, and again, time is money, so I hope everyone appreciates the information you've passed on about the Moses cartridges, Jeremiah.
Yeah, absolutely.